past 2 days it's been battle of the header here at Gasser Works. And this header's, how's it being to you? More complicated than most, I guess, because it's tighter than anything ever. So right out of the box we got this wiring kit here. Here's our part number. And we got this whole wiring kit right here to put in this 55 Oldsmobile. This was all rolled up in one big coil. I just took the big ties off of it to figure out, to just separate it, so I have a little easier time getting through it. Eventually I'm going to separate all of this, but one piece at a time, because it seems like after taking the big ties off, these are separate for a reason. These here tied separate. I think these go into the dashboard of the car. Every single wire is labeled, like horn, regulator power, battery. They're all labeled, every single one of them. Starter wires in there, all of it. It has a nice fuse panel with it. This fuse panel is labeled on everything. This seems to work for cars with just about, you could just about wire up everything in a car up to about the 90s. Anyways, right off the bat in the kit, you're gonna get this whole wiring situation here, all these wires that lead to your fuse panel. These will all go to separate parts of the cars, like the dome lights, headlights, anything that requires electricity is going to be hooked up to this fuse panel, because you do not want to burn your car to the ground. You want everything to be fused. That way if anything gets grounded out, it's going to pop a fuse and not burn your car to the ground. We get little flasher relays, a whole array of spade terminals, plugs. I have no clue what these plugs are for quite yet. There's some headlight plugs. We did a little box of wiring, connectors, crimps, bullet connectors, they're not crimps, butt connectors, bullet connectors, eyelet connectors, fuses, and there's some spades in there, and also extra pin terminals for things like these or over here. This whole section right here comes in the alternator bag, or the bag labeled alternator. You get little fuses, distribution block, little rubber boot to guard your alternator charging wire from touching anything else. You got heat shrink in here, self-tapping screws, diode, and a resistor. You even get a little bottle of dielectric grease. We also get a sticker. This is some like 6 gauge. It's not exactly labeled. Yeah, I would only use this for like alternator charging wire. I wouldn't use that to start a car up or nothing. But yeah, we get a sticker. We get a little, what would you call this? A sample of their power braid, which is just like, it's almost like fishnet wiring, but let's see if I can get it. It rolls up onto it. You could separate it. There's a split all the way down it, and then it just rolls onto it, kind of like a slap band, wristband in a way. You also get a painless wiring booklet. This is pretty much an instruction manual. It tells you how to do everything, for everything, schematics, all of it. I mean, we'll just take a quick look through the table of contents here. Here's a quick pan over the table of contents. that's it. So I'm pretty much not going to use this unless I really have to. Wiring is already painless for me, myself, but this is going to make it easier, for sure. And it's going to take me absolutely forever to get through all of this. But if we take it one step at a time, we'll eventually get to the top of the staircase. This car has power windows. It has wipers, lights, heater. It's got a heater switch right here. You stick the key in it, and then there's a floor button right there. That floor button starts the car. That's your push to start back in 55. We have a horn button to figure out. We have blinkers. There's a radio in there. There's also dome lights. There's one there. There's one here. We also have dash lights, I believe. Pretty sure that's what that is. It's like underneath the dash light when you open the door, and this button right here, that little switch, that'll say, hey, the door's open, and then these lights come on, as well as the dome lights. So we're gonna get all that figured out. We also have, brake switch, so when you mash the brakes, the tail lights come on, all that stuff. There's our high and low beam switch right there. And we also have an amp meter, a temperature gauge, there's a fuel gauge in there, and then an oil pressure gauge. We're gonna try to have all of this working. So, alright, so before I get to playing with this too much, having fun here, all the pretty colors and stuff, I'm gonna remove the stock fuse panel right there. I'm just gonna remove the panel, leave all the wires kind of chilling. I'm probably gonna label all those wires as I remove them as to what they led to beforehand. That way I just don't go removing everything like crazy. And I'm going to mount the new fuse box right where that one is, and then just have the wires kind of folded up in the back of it, kind of that motion in the back of it. That way all the wires are just up there somewhere, and I'll have them strewn out everywhere over here as I go to wire everything else up, like all the little switches and cool stuff like that. This car was previously a 6-volt car, so everything has to be swapped over to make it a 12-volt car. Luckily we got new wires for everything, so these just aren't labeled. My goodness, look at this. This thing had power seats. That is crazy. So here's our header after reworking it. Now this header actually fits around the steering box and starter and all that stuff. Michael has worked relentlessly for 4 days straight making that header to look like that. I'm gonna paint it and put it on tomorrow.
We're gonna order a starter for it, finish the transmission cross member, because now we know where the headers are, because we don't want to go in front of where they're gonna be. Now we can get on with it. The hard part's over, making that fit in there with the exhaust and all. That's the hard part. I think the rest of it should go smooth. You got the motor jacked up out of there because you have to take the motor out to get that header in there. Noah's been working on the wiring.
Yep, I've got all the wiring pulled out of each and every door. I got all the wiring pulled out of each and every door right now. I still have to figure out this one little wire here. I don't want to cut anything, I'm just unplugging things. Once I get that wire unhooked, I can pull everything out of the trunk. And then I still have to get all the wiring from under the dash figured out, but that's that. And we'll catch y'all tomorrow. So we've been working between multiple different cars lately here, and not even just cars. We've been working on other projects as well that don't involve cars. But Sophie, what is it? What are you barking at? Anyways, y'all saw the header outside the car. Now we have the header painted and mounted in there. So there's the header mounted in the Oldsmobile. It is an extremely tight fit, but it clears everything and it even somewhat manages to come out in about the same direction as the other one. Very close. Header's all sorts of wild looking though, having to dodge around everything in there. The starter even has to go in there, and it will. So that's what's taken the past like 4 days to build right there. On top of that, I got all the wiring from the lights and all the doors pulled out of the trunk and into here. It's all just jumbled up right there. I still have to get under the dash. That's what we got on that car so far. This one,
It's my spirit animal.
it's a wolf. But yeah.
Oh, I stepped in that.
Bondo has been applied to the car and your shoe.
It'll make it last longer.
Yeah.
And easier for me to, like, people to track me.
They'll see little Bondo spots
Right.
where you've been walking. We also went to Gibson, Georgia, and we purchased some Keystone Raiders to put on this car. I went ahead and put a set of Mickey Thompson street tires on the back of it and slapped them on there to see how they look. They're looking pretty sweet. Sanded down a bunch of the car, took the windows out of the doors and a bunch of the trim off of it, back glass out of it. There's the other Keystone.
That's the fronts.
It's one of the front. That's what size tire we're going to put on it, not the actual tire we're going to put on it. This thing's actually pretty old. It might actually be good,
No.
but we don't have a matching one, so. Yeah. We took the subframe, the front subframe out of the car, and Eli cleaned it up. It is 90.9% done.
Yep. Not 99% done, 90.9% done.
He's still missing a 9.1% of sanding to do. All that, yep, everything on the bottom of it. But that's where we've gotten on those two cars so far. I forget what else exactly we've done over the past few days, other than, oh yeah,
We made all these.
yeah, made all of those. That's just a crazy amount of tubings to bend. We also took the old 350 that came out of the 71 C 3/4 ton C20. We took that motor out and tore it all down yesterday. There's the pistons for it. We took the heads off of it, everything. It was a complete running engine before we tore it apart yesterday. And what?
That moves like pretty easy.
The crank turns like glass. That's pretty good right there, but we were seeing some issues on the cam, or not the cam, the rod bearings.
They're not bad though.
They're not
terrible. We can just probably polish it. They're not bad at all. There's a 4-bolt main and it's never been rebuilt.
Yep, completely stock.
And it doesn't have any cracks in it.
Right. Well, there are nice little scrapes in the cylinder walls.
That'll get took out of there.
It's gonna get a little boring and honing action eventually here soon.
But next week.
About next week.
The wrist pins are bad.
Oh yeah. These wrist pins are like awful. Like, look at this. You can pick up the side of the piston. It shouldn't do that. It should be like, see if we got a good one. See? That one kind of does what it's supposed to. These other ones just, and they do turn. They just got hard spots in them.
Eagle has the medicine for our ailment.
Yeah. So,
And JE.
Eagle and JE. We're gonna put some Christmas parts in there. That's what's gonna happen. So, we've been in the mix of rebuilding that motor, putting the header in this 55 volts, getting.
We're not working on Casey Malone's car Monday.
Yeah. We totally skipped out on Casey Malone's Monday this week, but
Double it next Monday.
yeah.
Double time Casey Malone's car on next Monday. We had like a bunch of stuff that we had to do this week.
So we'll catch back up on it. It won't exactly be a Malone Monday because it's not on Monday, but we're still gonna mess with his car sometime this week or next week actually, because it's already Thursday. But
Maybe tomorrow.
maybe tomorrow.
Probably.
Maybe even this weekend.
Probably
We got
put
some
it-
really cool things happening this weekend that you guys are definitely gonna have to stay tuned for.
Tomorrow's Friday the 13th, so it means we have to saw on a car.
Yeah. All right. Y'all enjoy y'all's weekend or evening or the rest of your day, whatever time you're watching this. Peace.